Hi guys, we are left with 3 days for SNAP exam. We are at the last lap now. If you are someone who says I've given other MBA exams, what things do I need to remember going to SNAP exam? Or if you are like I want to convert Symbiosis, this is my go-to college, I want to convert SIBM Pune, then what strategies do I need to adapt? In either case, we will discuss exclusively about SIBM. What is their cutoff, what is their placement, what strategy we need to adopt. Let's discuss about that. Let's begin. The essence of clearing any MBA exam is practicing by way of mocks. We give previous year IFT, ZAT, SNAP papers in the actual exam format. You can take these tests for free and get detailed analysis. To give you a brief background, Symbiosis dates back to 1978. It was first conceived by Dr. S.B. Majumdar. He was the head of department for biology in Ferguson College. Even now, he is the founder and president of the Symbiosis group. So, Symbiosis means mutual dependence or mutually beneficial. He initially conceived it as International Student Exchange University or Cultural Exchange University. But later, it went on to become a massive university. Even now it has obtained a deemed university status. There are a lot of colleges under this hood, but our main focus is about 15 B schools under it, and these 15 B schools offer about 50 different programs. To cite a few B schools, you have SIBM Pune, you have SCM HRD, which has exclusive studies in HR, you have international business, computer studies, operations management, you have telecom, you have media communication, SSBF is for banking and finance. So there are various B schools, all these schools except SNAP scores. Among all these schools, we have SIBM Pune. SIBM Pune is one of the premier institutions. It comes in top 20 and one of the sought out college when students write SNAP. Apart from SIBM Pune, we have 3 other colleges, namely SCM HRD, we have SIBM Bangalore and IIB. These are the 4 colleges usually sought out by candidates when they write SNAP. SIBM Pune, this year the average salary shot up. It is 17.4 LPA and the fee structure is 20.72. Relatively a good ROI. We also have SCM HRD, which is also a decent ROI. We have SIIB. SIIB is also in Pune. Average salary is 10.6 LPA. And lastly, we have SIBM Bangalore. Average salary is 9.8 LPA and fee structure is slightly on the higher end, 18 LPA. SIBM Pune, last year the cutoff was in the range of 97 to 98 percentile. SCM HRD was slightly lower than that. Both of SIBM Bangalore and SIIB, usually they have their cutoff in the ballpark of 90, 92, 93. And also every year the number of applicants or test takers are usually 50 to 60,000. Even this year it is 50,000. Unless the colleges decide to either increase or decrease the number of interview calls, the cutoffs will more or less be similar. Moving forward, coming to the exam pattern, one glaring change in exam pattern is we already know there is no grammar section. Apart from that, there is one more fact to consider, that is there is differential marking system. Both VARC and LRDI have 1.5x marks while Quant has 1 marks for each question. Even in IFT there was differential marking, but the difference is in IFT there was sectional cutoff. So you got to attempt at least few questions in each section. But in this case, as per previous year trends, there is no sectional cutoff or no time limit. So let's say if your strength is LR, then you get 45 marks in LR, about 35 marks in VA, and you don't bother to do Quant, then you get 80. Even then you're through the overall cutoff. Even though there was no sectional cutoff in the previous years, there might be one this year. So proceed with caution and also try to attempt these theta questions, guys. Last year there was 5 theta questions in all the 4 sections. So each theta question was for 2 marks. But this year it is only there in Quant section. And last year the theta questions were fairly easy. They're a little tricky but doable. So there is double marks for this. Try to attempt it. Your target should be to maximize your attempts in these questions, the 5 theta questions and the questions in LR as well as verbal. Also, one more key thing to notice is that each wrong answer attracts 25% negative marks, both in the case of normal questions as well as special questions. Let's say if you compare this with CAT has 33% negative marking. That is, if you mark 4 questions randomly, you are likely to get 3 wrong and 1 correct, so your expected score will be 0. But in this case, you will get 3 wrong, that will be minus 0.75, and 1 correct, 1. That will be plus 0.25. So usually if you maximize, try to make more attempts, your scores will usually be on the positive side. So do keep that in mind and also try to make more attempts in Quant theta questions, that is type in the answer type questions. So the gist about the exam pattern is, one we already saw, there is no grammar section, and then there is a reduction of the number of questions. Last year it was 130, this year it has become 110, but still the total marks is 150. So naturally the expected overall cutoff is slightly going to be higher. We expect it to be around 10 marks higher, and there is no sectional cutoff or time limit. Use this to your advantage. If your strength is your VA or LR, try to target them and maximize your attempts there. And also overall there is 25% negative marking, not 33% unlike CAT or IFT. So try to maximize your overall attempts. And last year the 97th percentile was cut off for SIBM Pune. It stood somewhere like 70 to 72 marks raw score. This year it will be slightly higher, 75 to 85, as there is differential marking. Also, as we discussed, the number of test takers is similar. Unless colleges decide to call more candidates or call lesser candidates, the cutoff will be in the ballpark of say 75 to 85 raw score. Coming to verbal section is dominated by synonyms, word meanings, synonyms, what is the antonym, if A is to B, what is C is to D. So if you are not familiar with words, then this part might be difficult. Last year this was not very difficult. Still, I'll recommend you to go through a word list. I'll leave a link in description for 800 commonly occurring words. Go through them. It will take you a couple of hours, but it will certainly be useful. You also have parts of speech question. Last year there was 2-3 questions on noun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition and conjunction. We saw one question on foreign phrase, that was what is the meaning of mea culpa. Mea culpa is a Latin word. It means acknowledgement of something is wrong. So that is a Latin word. So if you have some more quota of preparation, these things you can focus on. There are many questions on sentence correction as well. Commonly misspelled English words like jewelry, or we have judgment, possession, dissent, vacuum, tyranny. We know these words, these are very common, but subconsciously somewhere we make an error about the spelling of these words. So you can look these up too. You have figures of speech, you have active and passive voice, proverbs. Coming to RCs, last year there were 2 RCs. One of the RC was 1000 words and one of them was 600 words. Typically you should drop this 1000 word RC. There are 5 questions in each RC, so this is a bit too time consuming. In the past, you have seen Snap give 1200 word RC. So in case they decide to ramp up the difficulty of verbal section, they might increase the number of words in RC, make it difficult, make it inferential. Last year even synonyms were fairly easier, so go through that word list. In case they make it difficult, you are prepared for that. Overall, last year it was slightly on easy to moderate end. Verbal was slightly easier. This year they might ramp it up a little bit. The LR section is called as Analytical and Logical Reasoning. This section is dominated by pattern, series recognition, magic square questions. All these are standalone questions and require some amount of preparation. If you are coming from a CAT standpoint, it wouldn't do you much help. That's because if you don't have an appetite for these kind of questions, it will usually be time consuming. So at least taking about 2 to 3 marks is much recommended, so that you gain a pace in these type of questions. You also have figure obtained by folding or unfolding the paper. You have data sufficiency questions, coding, decoding, input, output. These are typically GMAT type of questions. Again, taking a few marks would really help you in this regard. One more fascinating thing about LR was it was a 7 question set. There was only one set last year. It was based on 12 people sitting in 2 rows. Each of them have a liking to one attribute. If you are able to fix the entire set, then bang, 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 you can answer all the questions. Especially if you are habituated to the CAT kind of unconventional puzzle, this shouldn't be too difficult. And the reward is usually CAT has 4 questions. Here all 7 questions you can answer directly. So it is a gold mine. All in all, LR was not at all computational, but it was certainly tricky. There are few questions where when you see the question, you're like, on the answer you will feel this is the right answer. But if you spend like 10 or 15 more seconds, you will understand that there is a deeper meaning, or you missed one condition. So I would suggest when it comes to LR, spend more time, get a clarity and then answer, so that you don't make many errors. And lastly, Theta. Last year Theta was very rewarding, but again this year of course there is no Theta questions. There is 5 Theta questions in quant. These Theta were pretty easy, and if you have targeted them, again lot of return on investment. The quant section was in the range of easy to moderate. The funny thing about last year the quant was they called it quantitative data interpretation and data sufficiency, but there was no DI or DS question. In fact, there are a few DS questions in LR. There are a few 3 or 4 DS questions, but there were no DS questions in quant whatsoever. All of them were quant questions. The quant was dominated by arithmetic, just like CAT and IFT. There are 5 percentages question. There was 3 time speed distance, and geometry and mensuration. Even this came as a surprise. There were more mensuration questions than geometry, about 8 questions in total. We had PNC 4 questions, linear equations 3 questions. There was also 3-4 questions on simplification. We have exponents and indices, which has to be simplified to get the final answer. Again, fairly doable and easy. All in all, I would suggest you to focus on these topics. The pattern was much similar to CAT, not a huge deviation from it, and the overall difficulty was easy to moderate. And talking about the offset of the cutoff marks, last year there were about 105 questions, total questions, and this year it is 110. The same 105 questions, it was 120 mark weightage, this year 150. So there is that offset. Again, even the cutoff will be offset. We think it would be offset by about 8 to 10 marks. This is the overall score versus percentile distribution of last year. 99 percentile stood at 80 marks, 98 was at 75. Since we think the offset is about 8 to 10 marks, somewhere it will be in the range of 80 to 90 this year. 97 will be 75 to 85. Last year the cutoff for general candidate was 70 to 72 raw score. This year it will be in the range of 75 to 85. Remember that this cutoff is for SIBM Pune. If you go lower for SCM HRD or SIBM Bangalore, 90th percentile this year could be in the range of 60 to 70. And also there was a category wise cutoff. For SC the cutoff was lower, and ST PWD the cutoff was lower. We also had a reservation was for Kashmiri migrants. It was in the range of 84 percentile. So the overall strategy is target at least 2 to 3 marks, guys. 4 days is left. You can certainly take them, and it is not as taxing as CAT. You can take them and even analyze it on the same day and solve SNAP 2018 completely. It will give you a holistic idea of what are the type of questions SNAP asks. So certainly do this, and on the day of the exam target strong and easy questions. Say you are going prepared to maximize your attempts in VA and DI, but on the day of exam they are obscenely difficult, while quant is very easy. So then you adapt your strategy on that day, and also be very choosy about questions, guys. SNAP is a time based test. You need not go chronologically and try to nail each and every question. The strategy I would recommend is first skim through all the questions. Skim through the questions and look for least verbose and eye pleasing questions, solve them. In the second round, go through the questions which are in your arena, which are your strong zone. And the last one, you say if you have confusion towards the end, you have confusion between two options, then certainly mark one of the options, because the odds are in your favor. There is less negative marking as compared to CAT, but certainly not recommended for all the questions. Towards the end, if you have confusion between options, then you can mark it is in your favor. And lastly, on the day of exam, read the instructions very carefully, guys. Especially in IFT, there was a change in pattern from 6 sections to 4 sections. So read it very carefully and adapt your strategy on the day of the exam. So the gist is solve SNAP 2018 completely at any cost, and then go through the word list. I'll leave it in the description. Go through all the words and attempt at least 2 marks. If you attempt 2 marks and analyze it completely, then you are through with the preparation. That's about it, guys. Make sure you do all this. All the very best for SNAP exam. We'll see you soon. Thank you.